career. Guys, a lot of people that I tend to help, they have careers, whether they're like a real estate investor, real estate agent, attorneys, folks in tech. And so it demands a lot of their time and attention and their energy. And so what most people try to do, I see a lot of guys and women tending to try to work out like they used to when they used to play sports when they were in their teens, or played sports when they were in college, and it just doesn't work. And they find themselves being very inconsistent with their workout plan, or feeling like zapped. I was talking to this one guy who joined my coaching program, and he was like, whenever he worked out, he stopped working out a whole lot, because whenever he would work out, he found himself having to go back home and go to sleep. He felt just wiped out from the workout. He was like, dude, I just don't have the time to be feeling like mentally and physically zapped going back into work. And so I was telling him the things I'm getting ready to share with you, because if you have a demanding career, you can't just work out like a pro athlete. You can't work out like you're a bodybuilder. You can't, man. You don't have the time and energy and mental bandwidth to do that, unless you're just like so far along to where you're like these celebrities where you just got all the time in the day. But most of the people who I tend to help don't have all the time in the day. And so a couple of things you want to pay attention to. You absolutely have to have structure, okay? If you wing it, you're gonna get winging it results. And so you have to treat your body and your health like a business. The same way you do with your career, you have structure, you have calendars, you have to-dos, you have agendas that you need to focus on a daily basis. You have to treat it the same way. Meaning, when you're going into each and every week, you can't just leave it up to chance. Like the guys who I see who just leave it up to chance, those are the guys who said, but before the week started, yeah, I'm gonna work out 3 days this week. Yeah, I'm gonna work out 4 days this week. And then if it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't. But when you put it on your calendar, the same thing you put everything for your career and your family on your calendar, when you put going to the gym on your calendar, it becomes a non-negotiable. It's no longer something that just kind of like roaming around in your thoughts. It's something that's actually is concrete. I'm going to the gym on these days at this time. That gives you, just that alone is going to give you a little bit of peace of mind, less stress, because now you know you've prioritized when you're going to go to the gym, when you're going to be working, when you're going to have family time. Guys, a lot of our stress as high achieving professionals is just not having things organized. When you don't have that structure, when you don't have that that sense of, okay, here's what I'm doing throughout the day, that increases the stress. Which, you can only do so much when you have a high level of stress on yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so we got to have structure. So plug it in your calendar. That's the first thing. Okay. The second thing, for over a decade, guys, I did in-person training out here in Buckhead, Atlanta. And I was charging. I was charging like $1,000 to $2,000 a month. It was crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that was because I was in person with people. I was trading my time. Now with coaching, it's a lot more financially affordable for, people who it's important to. But here's the thing. What I found was it wasn't people training with me in person. It wasn't the most convenient way to train and work out, because some of my coaching clients, they needed to be at work when I could train them in person. And so you need something that's going to be flexible, that works with you and not against you. Okay. And so this is where you have lifestyle-based training. This is what I do with my coaching clients. Lifestyle-based training. It's not some generic workout plan that you just found on YouTube or Google. No. That's why people they start these little generic plans, then they fall off because they can't sustain it. Instead, you got to have a plan that supports your lifestyle. Not Joe Blow at the gym, not John at the gym. No. It supports you. If you know you can work out 4 days a week consistently, that's what's going to work best for you. Not the 7-day-a-week workout plan. If you know you can only work out for 60 minutes, that's what you got to do. You can't do the 2-hour-long bodybuilding routine, because you won't be able to sustain it. And it's going to wipe you out. You're not going to have energy. Okay? And so lifestyle-based training is really good, because it allows for you to have something that you can maintain. And you won't find yourself feeling discouraged and disappointed because you fell off. That's one of the things I see a lot of people going through. They start off strong, Then they start beating themselves up because they missed a workout. And then, the week gets really busy with their job or their career. Then they miss another workout. Then before you know it, they're like, oh man, I just picked this up when it's a little bit more convenient for me. But in reality, guys, if you want to be able to lose weight and keep that weight off, you want to look good year round. You want to have energy year round. You got to make this a lifestyle, man. I think a lot of people I'm not even gonna say think. I see that a lot of people look at working out as a means to an end. It's like they work out to be able to birthday, work out to go to on vacation or something like that, instead of working out in a way where it supports them. That way they get results, they look good, they feel good every day. Because if you're a high achieving professional, you got to perform in your career every day. You got to have energy every day. You want to look good every day. You want to feel good every day. You want to have mental bandwidth and mental energy to perform and produce in your career. And also have that energy to go back home with your family and not just kind of like exist. You can enjoy time with family. You see what I'm saying? The only way you get this, guys, is by making this a lifestyle. Even when it comes to nutrition. I know I'm talking about working out and training, but the same thing with nutrition. If you want to be able to lose weight and keep it off, it can't be diet culture. It has to be, let me build a healthy relationship with food. This is what I talk about with my coaching clients. That way, when they lose this weight, they can keep it off. They're not caught up into all the craziness they see on social media where trainers tell them, hey, this food right here is bad. Never eat this. They understand, okay, well, that's pleasure-based food. These foods over here are value-based foods. These foods are gonna make me feel good. I'm gonna have mental energy. I'm gonna be able to lose weight. My clothes are gonna fit on me. And so you have to start looking at this thing from a long-term perspective. Because when you start having long-term perspective, you start moving differently. When you have quick fix perspective, like you just want to get it off real quick, which I get it. You don't want to keep it, you don't want it to take forever. I get it. But at the same time, the mentality and the mindset that you go into this with can either sabotage your results or prolong you being able to get the results that you want and keep them. Okay? And so, lifestyle-based training, having structure, and then lastly, you have to lift weights, guys. You can't just do cardio. If you want to look good in your clothes, and when you take your clothes off, you have to lift. People always reach out to me saying, man, I want to tone. I want to get more muscle definition. You can't do that if you're just doing cardio, guys. Like definition and tone, that comes from having muscle. And so, like the shirt I got on right now, make dates with the weights. You don't have to live in there like a bodybuilder, but 3 to 4 days a week is all you need. That's the sweet spot, man. That's the sweet spot. Okay? If your ass only going to the gym 1 or 2 days a week, that's grandpa. That's grandma. You don't do rookie numbers. You got to get your numbers up, bro. All right? If you want to be able to look good and feel good, like really see some noticeable changes without it taking forever, 3-4 days a week is all you need. Okay? And then throw in some cardio too, and so that way you can feel good physically and mentally. That heart that's beating in your chest, cardio is not so much for weight loss as much as it is for like wellness and energy and quality of life. I talk to folks all the time on my game plan calls, and folks be having sleep apnea and high blood pressure and hypertension and all this kind of stuff and type 2 diabetes. You better get your body moving. Even what's it called, heart disease. You got to get your body moving, man. You got to move. You got to work your heart, especially as a busy professional. Like you're sitting down for long hours at a time. Like they say that being sedentary is the modern day cigarette smoker. That's how much of a difference that people who are active have versus people who are very sedentary. And so if you're sedentary, you got to be intentional with moving. You got to be intentional with going to the gym and doing some cardio. Not crazy cardio, 20, 30 minutes, and making sure that you're lifting. That way you can build muscle to increase your metabolism. When you do these things, guys, I'm telling you, this is how you build a body that you're proud of. This is how you be able to excel in your health, but also in your career and in your personal life. Okay. I do see a couple of comments down here. Let's see. How can you have energy when you work high intensity manufacturing? Um, that's different. You know what I'm saying? I talk to more so career driven professionals, people who, are like sedentary at work a lot, people who are attorneys and people like that. If you got a career where you're like having to move around a whole lot, that's going to come down to the way you eat. Okay? If you're not eating properly, then yeah, you won't have energy. A lot of guys who tend to eat a lot of junk food, a lot of bagels, a lot of trail mix, a lot of, chips and things like that, just to kind of like, it's like finger food throughout the day based on their careers. Like, this is why those folks don't have energy. Okay? Guys, he's here. I don't have much time left. It's over. Jesus is the way, true. What's good, gang? Hulk Hogan. All right, guys. This actually, it's been a minute since I've done a live on YouTube. I'm gonna start doing more lives on YouTube. Try to keep them about 10-15 minutes, somewhere up in there. But I don't know the landscape, man. So I don't know if we're gonna get a whole lot of trolls in my comments or what. Just crazy folks. I do a lot of them on Instagram a lot, but I'm about to start doing them on YouTube as well. And so with that said, guys, tap in, comment whatever topics you want me to start talking about down below, and if it's supportive to the type of channel that I have, I'll talk about it. All right. And other than that, guys, we out of here. Let's get it.